It's time to be Tuesday. Had to remember to do that. Alright, and for this Tubi Tuesday, we're looking at Tekken. Now, unlike Double Dragon, Street Fighter, or Mortal Kombat before it, Tekken is a game series that I'm not too familiar with. I know a little bit. Like, I know certain characters like Kazuya, or Kazuya, however you pronounce it. I know he was a protagonist in one game, and an antagonist later. I know Heihachi, who is his father, and he's Kazuya's father. And he's also a villain. And he was in Soul Calibur 2 as the PS2 exclusive fighter for that game. And then there's Yoshimitsu, who I know the Soul Calibur 2 version. But apparently there's a different version here. I know it's a fighting game. I played the original Tekken a few times. Not too much. Not one of my higher played fighting games. You know, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. Even the Ninja Turtles tournament fighter was a favorite of mine back in the day. But Tekken, not so much. So when the movie came out back in 2009, I wasn't itching to watch it. And it came direct to video here in the States, right? So it didn't make a big splash. So I didn't expect anything going into this, right? I was like, okay, I don't remember hearing anything about this film. It's probably going to suck. Hell, Film Brain even did a bad movie beatdown on it, which I watched after this. And so my expectations were very low. Let me tell you something, alright? I actually enjoyed this film better than Double Dragon. It did what it said to do. It's a tournament. You have fighters fighting each other. Yes, it gets derailed towards the end and kind of doesn't make any sense at a certain point, but it hits those beats. Yes, it does the post-apocalyptic thing again, which we just seen in Double Dragon, and it's very complicated. I don't want to explain it. There's like thing, and there's Iron Fist, and there's a tournament called Tekken, which is Japanese for Iron Fist, which makes no sense. And Kazuya and his father Heihachi, they run this Iron Fist tournament, and Jin Kazama is our main protagonist. He's played by John Fu, who plays Detective Inspector Lee on the Rush Hour TV series, and I was excited to see him because I thought he was pretty good as Lee, and that nowhere as good as Jackie Chan, of course, but and he did a pretty good job in this, I think. Although I am confused on the love interest department, because beginning of this, we see that he has a love interest, a female, a girlfriend, or whatever have you, that he's about to have sex with. He does have sex with, but then there's explosions. His mom dies because this is a hero story, and someone has to die. She's killed by Kazuya, and so that's why he decides to enter this tournament. He's trained by this guy. I don't know all the names, alright? I know that Brian Fury is the last one that he fights. But he's trained by this other guy who was a fighter, I guess. And he beats this guy who's supposed to be like Bruce Lee in the games, but looks nothing like Bruce Lee. In fact, John Fu looks more like Bruce Lee than this guy. I'm just saying. So that enters him in the tournament. There he meets second love interest, who he follows around and has a love interest thing. And I'm like, okay, so we're just going to forget about the other chick. But during the finals, they flash back to Jin's old neighborhood, and the chick is there watching the screen all intently. Like, that's my boyfriend. That's my boyfriend. I think there's going to be a bit of a problem once Dick comes around, because he's flirting and making out with this new chick. Again, I don't know names. And then there's other chick, his old girlfriend, and I think he's going to be in a bit of trouble. But, yes, eventually it's revealed that shock of all shocks, Kazuya is Jin's father. Because we gotta do that trope, right? Apparently we can't just say that it was a failed relationship. Apparently he raped Jin's mother. Because that's fun. And then we have the tournament. And the tournament fighting stuff is actually pretty good. Good fighting style. The fight between Jin and Yoshimitsu is actually really good. But that's when it starts to go downhill because Jin is forced to kill Yoshimitsu. Kazuya decides, I'm taking over this tournament. He exiles his father. Basically, he puts him in a jail cell, and then he puts everyone else in a jail cell, and he tells them, hey, from now on, we fight to the death. And if you're thinking, wait, that's Mortal Kombat, well, did I mention that Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa plays Heihachi? And Heihachi is meant to be the bad guy in the games, but Kazuya took over that role, and Heihachi is sort of not a bad guy. He sort of is. He's presented that way at first, and then Kazuya takes over that role. And so then the tournament continues, even though they try to... And this is confusing. They escape, right? They get away. Heihachi gets away, but then he is, quote-unquote, killed. We'll get to that. And then they just get put back, and they have to do the tournament anyway. But by the way, there's a scene before the Yoshimitsu fight, well, where Kazuya bribes Brian Fury to be the next fight and destroy Jin, kill Jin. But then in his next fight's against Yoshimitsu. Makes no sense. But eventually, it gets down there, but the tournament just kind of stops. Brian Fury defeats the guy, right? I think it's like Sergey or something. He beats Sergey, and all of a sudden, it's the finals against Jin, but one chick, she hasn't fought. One of the sisters hasn't fought. There's a black guy, whose name I don't remember. He hasn't fought yet. So what is going on here? They just rushed to the big fight, and now I'm redoing that Royal Rumble onto the giant. And so now we have Jin versus Brian Fury, and it's been hinted at that Brian Fury has bionic implants, and he does, so it's hard for him, and we get this trope. Okay, so in every single one of Jin's fights, including this one, he gets his ass kicked. And then he has flashbacks to his mother teaching him how to fight. Then all of a sudden he has superpowers and he wins. Every single fight except for the final one, but he beats Brian Fury, and then Kazuya's like, I'm the next challenger, even though that was supposed to be the finals. So Kazuya and Jin fight, father versus son. And he doesn't need mom flashbacks in this one, and he beats Kazuya, but chooses to let him live. So now he runs the Iron Fist, and we have a post-credit scene. But by the way, we see him with first girlfriend chick and not the other one. I'm confused on where that relationship is. And then we get a post-credit scene or a mid-credit scene with Heihachi cutting back to when Heihachi was going to get killed. Then the guard doesn't kill him, but there's an explosion. It's a weird cut anyway, but then you see it here and you're just like, okay. They were setting up for a sequel, which sort of happened. Tekken 2, Kazuya's Revenge, which is actually a prequel, which makes no sense. Why would it be his revenge? You'd think if it was Kazuya's Revenge, it would be a sequel. But it's a prequel, and I don't know. Obviously, this movie didn't do very well because it wasn't released in theaters here in the States. I don't know if it would have done that well either, but I think it's a pretty decently made film. The action is pretty good. The acting is not bad either. And come to find out, this movie was written and directed by the same powerhouse team, by the same duo that wrote and directed Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers. That's right. Dwight H. Little directed this film, and it was written by Alan B. McElroy, who directed and wrote Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers, respectively. So yeah, that's high points to me because I like that movie. It's not one of my favorites, but I like it. So yeah, man, I enjoyed this. Like I said, the fight scenes were actually very well choreographed. If I do want to poke a little bit at something, is there's the chick, I forget her name, Melanie or something like that, that he meets at the fighting tournament. Jen meets at the fighting tournament. She don't stare at my ass. But then when they go to a club, she's wearing these blatant pants that have a little hole in line thing that show her ass cheeks. How is he not supposed to look at them if they're sticking out? You know what I mean? I'm just saying. But I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I actually really enjoyed this. I think it's one of the better video game adaptations. There's a tournament. There's fighting. It does go a little bit wonky towards the end of the film when they decided, oh, hey, we're running out of time, so we got to, shorten the tournament and just say Brian Fury defeats Sergey and then, oh, we're in the finals, even though I'm sure there was a few more fights after that before we can get to the finals, but, yeah, not bad at all. So what are your thoughts? It's a 7 out of 10, I'll say it again. So what are your thoughts on Tekken? In the comments below, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty. I'll see you in the next one. Whoa.